Hi, I'm Dave Rogers, a combat veteran, and welcome to Cooking with a Veteran. Okay, welcome. I'm Dave Rogers. I'm with the VFW. Those that know me know the work that I do with veterans. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about me is that I love to cook. And so I'm going to come on here weekly and share with you some of my ideas and my recipes for cooking that can be used for a single person, or also you can make them in large portions for a family. Okay, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my version, my recipe of Spanish rice with chicken. Now, when I prepare a meal, one of the things I like to do is make sure that I prepare everything ahead of time. And so, if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'm going to take you here and you'll see I've got my olives, okay, I got my onions and peppers, I have my tomato paste, okay? I have my corn. I like sweet corn, but in this case I'm using kernel corn, okay? I have my olive oil. My chicken is all cut up, as you can see, right? And those are the basics, and we'll get into more of it as we go along. So like I said, I like to prepare everything first. And so I will now, go ahead and I will season up the chicken. I will add some of my Sazon to my chicken. Okay. I add about a half a package, but again, if you have more meat, you're going to add more Sazon. If you have less meat, I'd like to share it. I save the package and I'll use it for a later date. All right. I will put in some of my crushed pepper. All right, and then you're gonna mix it up. And I like to use a nice seasoned wooden spoon. It's great for mixing. It'll carry those flavors over into when you're cooking. All right, so it's really wonderful. All right, so now that I have my meat all seasoned up, okay, I'm going to prepare my pan. I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil with truffle in it. Okay, I love that taste of truffle. Something I picked up when I was stationed in Europe. Eating truffles, it wasn't really a big thing back then in my home, but I became to love it. And then I like to use Irish butter. I like the salt in the Irish butter, and being Irish, so I'll use about 1/3 of a stick of Irish butter. And what's great about this dish that I'm cooking is this is something that you can do in one pot. You can do beginning to end, everything that you need to do, you can do in one pot. Right? Now I'm going to add my onions and peppers. Now, it's important to remember that when you're browning the onions and peppers, you want to get them so that they're kind of transparent. You don't want to burn them, obviously. You keep mixing them around. And I like using a porcelain pot for this because porcelain pots maintain the heat evenly all the way around, and it doesn't stick to the bottom as long as you keep stirring it around. And of course, your pot is your choice. Not everybody has a porcelain pot, but this is a good pot to use. All right, so you can see that my onions and peppers are cooking along nicely. Okay, I do have it up on high for now. We're going to change that later. That's just to get it started, get the pot nice and going. Okay, and at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my chicken. And what you're going to do here is you're going to brown your chicken. Right? You're going to get it cooked. And we're going to put this in here, and we'll check on it from time to time. All right, but I'm going to lower my heat to a medium at this point. All right, and just let the chicken really cook, and we'll check in on it in 5 minutes. Okay, so while the chicken is cooking, I want to prepare my broth. And, you know, when you cook in rice, a lot of people just use water, and that's fine. You can use whatever you want to. But I like to add a little flavor to it. And you'll notice when I was preparing the meat and put it in the skillet that I didn't add any salt, okay? And again, that's an option that you have. You know, the adobo seasoning has a good amount of seasoning and salt in it. I do like to add a little bit more pepper, but I keep away from it because a lot of the other items that you're going to use are going to have some kind of salt content within them. All right. And so I like to use, to make my stock, I actually like to use vegetable stock, which gives it a nice flavor. Okay. I have a cup of white wine, and no, well, it's a good cup. It's a Riesling. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to put that into our measuring cup. All right. I have a little bit of Irish 69th, Fighting Irish 69th Irish whiskey. I was with them down at the World Trade Center and then for Homeland Security. But this is not for the stock. This is for the cook. That's good stuff. Okay. And then what I'm going to add to it also is, so fresh corn obviously is better, but I do like a canned corn. I grew up on canned corn, so you know, and this is great for if you don't have access to fresh corn. What I like to do is I like to use the juice from the canned corn. And this gives me 2 cups of water, okay, or 2 cups of broth, in which I'm going to use to cook the rice with. Okay, as you can see, our chicken is almost done, which is perfect. I don't like to cook it all the way through at this point because it is going to cook for longer and you don't want it to dry out. All right, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the heat back up high because we need to add our broth in to the chicken. And we're going to let that come to a boil. Okay, so my water's come to a boil. What I'm going to do at this time is first I'm going to add some corn. And again, there's some salt in corn. All right. I'm going to add my olives. And you can use as many olives as you want. I like olives, but I don't like a ton of them in my rice. And then I'm going to add my tomato paste, which will add that tomato sauce appeal. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in my rice. And you can use whatever rice you want. Some people like to use white rice. I like to use yellow rice. Okay. I've heard of people using brown rice. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix this all in. All right. So this is the beginning of it. It's at a boil now. All right. I'm mixing all around. You can see all the flavors in there. Sorry you can't smell the flavors, but it smells great, let me tell you. And this is a dish I picked up. My grandmother made Spanish rice, which obviously I cannot make my grandmother's Spanish rice. Mostly because I can't cook the way that she could cook. She taught me a few things, but not that much. And my cousin continues to make the Spanish rice, and she tried to teach me, and I'm still not that great at it. But this is something that I picked up when I was stationed over in Germany. One of the soldiers who loved Spanish rice and wasn't a great cook himself taught me how to do it this way. All right, so at this time, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna turn our temperature to low. We're going to put a cover on it, and we're gonna let it sit for 25 minutes. 25 minutes, we can see that the water is almost completely evaporated. The rice is cooked, the chicken is cooked, and what we're going to do now is we're going to take it off of the heat and we're going to put it on the side to sit for 5 minutes. Okay, so we let it sit for 5 minutes. Had another of my Fighting Irish 69 whiskey, and now the food is ready to be served. Okay, so the meal is all cooked. And of course, now comes my favorite part of cooking any meal, which is tasting it. Again, not my grandmother's Spanish rice. However, it tastes amazing. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time. So I hope you enjoyed watching me cook today as much as I enjoyed cooking. Check in with me again next week, where I'll make pasta bolognese, one of my favorite Italian dishes. Until then, hoorah.